Hello and welcome to Move the Line, presented by Circa Sports. Ryan Noonan, joined here as always by Connor Allen. We are getting close to real NFL football, preseason games popping on our screens all weekend, news, quarterback battles, some battles ending. We'll talk about all that today. Connor Allen, how are we doing?
Great. We are going to be out in Vegas this Thursday and Friday at the Circa Ultimate Contest weekend. Pumped for that. I mean, that's going to be awesome. We're going to be out there. The deep dive crew is going to be out there. There's going to be the SGP guys are going to be out there. Like a bunch of big people are going to be out there. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Firing some entries off. Going to be doing some shows on Thursday and Friday. Probably have some fun guests on. We'll be live in person. Maybe get to see a little bit more of our beautiful physiques. So it should be a good time. So very excited. And then definitely, if you're out in Vegas in the next 2 weeks, you have to fire at least one entry in here. If you're planning on doing Survivor or Circa Millions, there's no rake in the contest, $1,000 to enter. And again, Survivor, you pick one team each week, can't use them again the following week or ever again the rest of the season. And then Millions, you pick 5 against the spread. Spreads lock on Wednesdays, I believe. So lots of different strategy, whether you pick the CLV, you fade them, go from there, like lots of different options. But they have like quarterly payouts, end of the year payouts. Bunch of different ways to win. So awesome contest, awesome people, super excited for this weekend. So, we'll definitely have more on that throughout the year and this week.
Yeah, cannot wait. Finally here. It was closer always, but now it felt just like, oh, it's later. Yep. It feels like there's so much between now and then. And now it's here. It's this week. Totally. So more information in the show notes, like Connor said, if you want to learn about what's going on over there. Obviously, you got to be in Vegas to sign up, but you can use proxies for all these things, proxies to submit your picks every week, roll that into the fee. Lots of different ways to go about that. You can find more information just on Circa's website to find that out too. Hit us up if you have any questions specifically. But you got a Wyndham Clark winner on the golf side this week.
Love that.
More Circa money for contests. So feeling good to get that bankroll built up before we get to real NFL football games. So let's jump in. More news. I think the big one coming in here as we record this on a Monday morning is the Browns quarterback situation. We have an answer. I think it's the answer that we all expected if we were maybe asked a month ago. Maybe not what we necessarily would have expected if we were asked a week or a day ago. But it does make sense with the Browns leaning on Deshaun Watson as the week 1 starter, despite what happened over the weekend where Deshaun, publicly spoke about being booed, feeling like it's personal with the Cleveland fan base. Probably not wrong. The nice caveat here is that they start on the road with 2 games. They probably get waxed in both of those games. I just think it makes so much more sense where you would go Deshaun to, Shador versus having to go the other way, right? If you want to see if Shador continues to be a thing, knowing that you're probably 2027 quarterback is not currently on the roster in what appears to be somewhat of a decent / possibly loaded quarterback class. I'm always hesitant to say that because we feel this every year where it's like, if you start to look at like number 1 pick odds, you'll see these quarterbacks. And then oftentimes like they're day 2 or day 3 picks by the time we get to the draft. So you never know what's going to happen, but I feel pretty confident that their quarterback for 2027 is not on the roster, but Deshaun's the starter, Connor, for week 1 against Jacksonville on the road. They're like 2 touchdown dogs.
I mean, no, it's 7.5 right now. I think
I saw 12. I was looking at maybe our. We just need to update our
I think the feed is behind. Yeah, they're only 7.5 point dogs right now. I was gonna say I really like Jacksonville. Like it's I mean they should absolutely obliterate the Browns. This is a Browns team that their defense got worse. Their offensive line is projected to be one of the worst. Deshaun Watson wasn't even good with a better offensive line and a better running game. Like he's just been awful since he has been literally nothing but terrible since playing with the Cleveland Browns. The last time he was good was 2020. It's 6 years ago. I mean, just so long ago. So I have really low expectations. I know they added, Denzel Boston and Conception, and they still have Jerry Jeudy. So I just am not buying it. I have such little faith in this team. I think the Jags minus 7.5 is a really good look. I was kind of surprised it didn't move. I was watching it as soon as the news broke. Pinnacle moved from like 7.5 minus 103 to 7.5 minus 115, something like that. So I don't know, 10 cents. I guess maybe because I think it was mostly baked in. There were some 7s earlier in the offseason. So I think it's like kind of was trending this way as there was more negative Deshaun news and negative, just negative Browns news, but like he was going to still start. I think they're hanging him out to dry for 2 games. And then you get like Panthers, Steelers, Jets. Not like they're not better than them, but they're more winnable than Bucks or Jags.
Yeah, he was just so bad. Stunningly bad. The turnovers were a problem. Let me see. I was just trying to pull his. I think a really good indicator is just, how good are you in a clean pocket, right? Like everyone struggles when you're under pressure to a degree, but Deshaun Watson just not taking any shots, really pushing the ball down the field, checking down, was just so bad even last year in a clean pocket. Clean pocket, 4.2 average depth to target. Like, what is that? Like,
that's
like you had time. But like, you just compare that to other starters around the NFL, and it's just, an insane number of someone that just is trying to get out of there. Like, Josh Allen, 13. Like most NFL starters are kind of around 8 to 9. Check down city, even in the clean pocket. So, I don't know how that plays itself out with the improved, because again, this is a team that, yes, I agree. Like defense is worse. Defense is still probably okay. Pass catcher core, young, I think exciting, but obviously capped with a quarterback that is inaccurate, not taking chances early in the season. It's a tricky spot. So yeah, Jacksonville seems like a nice spot to start the season. Maybe a millions pick for us by the time we get there, if that number can hold.
Yeah, as we're talking right now, Pinnacle moved to 8, and so did Bovada and Bet 105. So,
because I was looking this morning, and I'm like 12.5. I'm like, it's a big number, but
maybe
I don't know that I hate it.
Yeah, I think the look ahead's line tool needs a little refresh, but yeah, Circa is still at 7.5 minus 110. Would love for that to lock in as the number. I think anything less than 10 is probably good, which is crazy to say, but I think that's much closer to the number.
Yeah. I mean, just with inexperienced, we talked about this when we did our Browns preview. The offensive line needed a change, but you had wholesale changes. And while change is probably good, change isn't always an improvement. And when you have literally zero continuity along the offensive line, we talked about this specifically with the Browns, was attacking them early because you just kind of need that. Like we talk about that as kind of an underlying thing for like team success, is like continuity along the offensive line. But it is a unit that does work cohesively together. It is not necessarily, it is a sum of the parts unit versus a individually skilled unit. And when you don't have experience with guys playing a ton of reps next to each other, and a team that can generate pressure, right? Like Josh Hines Allen, Trayvon Walker, this is a good, even in the interior, they have some good pressure guys. They turn the ball over and had good pressure rate last year. Like, yeah, I think Jacksonville is probably pretty interesting. In
Jags run D is really good, right? That's like, they were one of the 3 or 4, I think, best last year, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm interested to see what Judkins numbers comes out at, because I think they're going to want to run the ball, but big dogs, tough matchup.
Yeah.
This is
uncorrelated,
like good
uncorrelated, yards under, carries over.
Yep. Yeah. Like 18 for like 60. Like that's what he's going to have, like something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. That's kind of the bigger news. Some of the other bigger news came out of Las Vegas, and it ended up not being the news that it seemed to be, especially in the fantasy community for, 7-8 hour stretch where it looked like Ashton Jeanty might be lost for an extended period of time. I think it kind of paired with the fact that Mike Washington was someone that a lot of people liked in the draft community pre-draft. I think we're probably a little bit bummed that he landed in Las Vegas because he had maybe some ceiling outcomes, depending on where he would land. And, landing in a spot behind the second-year running back who has a lot of juice himself is probably a little less appealing. So the pro Mike Washington community was really excited to get behind Mike Washington. Now it feels like that ended up not being a thing because it ends up being a sprained ankle. And it doesn't even seem like it's a necessarily a high ankle for Jeanty. So that was kind of a dud. Thoughts on the Raiders and Jeanty?
Yeah, I think we're looking at like probably 3 up to upwards of 8 weeks if it does end up being the worst case scenario. But it's crazy to me. I mean, the prayer circle, we had a prayer circle for a guy who sprained an ankle. You got to be kidding me. What? So, and of course,
People's
So
best ball bags are packed at this time of year, right? So like,
yeah.
you're responding to that.
Also, I rejoined my home league last night, and we had our draft mid thing. I took Mike Washington at ninth round, and I was like, oh man, such a good value. Like an hour later, the prayer circle healed Jeanty, and it was just a sprained ankle. So now I'm totally totally toast. But team wise, I think he's probably going to sit out, I would guess, a week or two, and then be fine for week 3 on. That would be my guess. I think we see Mike Washington early. If he is healthy right away, again, I would probably expect like a slow ramp up. I don't think they're going to jam him as much as they would early. Yeah. I don't think this matters all that much for props. I guess week 1 against the Dolphins, I was expecting a massive Jeanty workload in game. Mm-hmm. How that looks now is pretty interesting. Just how much does Mike Washington see? He's looked really good in preseason. As you mentioned, his profile was pretty interesting. Really good RAS. Not very good production, but very good RAS. So interesting profile. I think his props still could be in play, but I guess we just still have no idea what some of the doctors, like he could have a fracture in his ankle, which would make him out like 8+ weeks, but there's just so much uncertainty right now because he still wasn't putting weight on it. So I don't know. We'll see. I think it's tough. I guess like win total wise, it didn't matter. I saw someone tweet out that they bet the under when he got injured. I think it was GRP, our guy GRP. Which is just all time because JT now is going to play probably at some point in the season, I would assume. I just don't think it matters. I mean, what does it move, like a couple cents at most? I don't think he matters all that much to the team outlook.
Yeah, I agree with that. Other news there too, with again reading the tea leaves with how the Raiders use their receivers in the preseason. It looks like Tre Tucker, wide receiver 1. I think we both agree that Brock Bowers, pass catcher 1, still that job was really not up for grabs. But Tre Tucker gets a little bit more interesting, maybe in the prop market. If those guys end up being flat, attacking Miami's secondary. I don't know if there's really any reaction to that, but that feels like something that's played out over the weekend.
Yeah, interested to see. So there's a couple of teams where I think the receiving cores are just like really uncertain, and at least in the eyes of many, but I feel pretty good about like Tre Tucker, wide receiver 1 there in Miami, like Caleb Douglas, wide receiver 1. And I'm really just to see what the props are of the lower tier guys, because you could get some props on guys who might be a rotational wide receiver 3 or 4. Like if we got like Jack Besh isn't really going to play much, but books might think he is because he's like on paper probably going to play. But if he does play, it's like, he's not going to get many targets because he's just, I don't think he's very good. It seems like. So those types of players I'm looking for in lines for week 1, because those could be some nice unders of like 20 yards or 15 yards, something like that, if they're going to be out there for 20% of the routes, basically. So in terms of like team impact, though, yeah, I don't think it moves the needle. More just for Brock Bowers. I think he's going to absolutely feast. A million targets, it seems like.
Yeah. We made a case in our one of our preseason shows for Brock for offensive player of the year, just because he can compile so many stats. Hasn't always been an award that's correlated with team success. So I'm not necessarily worried about Bonham falling out for the Raiders and that's off the board. You can just go out and put out historic performance, like historically defensive player of the year correlated with team success. But then Myles Garrett broke the sack record, right? So like there are outliers where if the player's that good, then it doesn't necessarily matter. So that one's interesting. In that same game, I just want to stay here a little bit, probably off your radar, but Terrell Dotson, linebacker for the Miami Dolphins, got dinged up over the weekend. It didn't seem good, but we don't have the news necessarily.
Interesting.
Baby, let's get us some Jacob Rodriguez time in Miami at linebacker right out of the gate. So if you're looking for a little defensive rookie of the year sprinkle and maybe you missed it early, you're still looking in like high teens, 20 for Jacob Rodriguez, defensive rookie of the year, out here picking dudes off and in practice all over the place, causing pressure, wreaking havoc. You didn't hang out with us during the draft process. Big flag plant guy, middle linebacker for me for the Dolphins, Jacob Rodriguez. He's starting week 1. He ain't giving that job back. Sorry, Terrell Dotson. Miami should trade you, get something from somewhere for you. We get Jacob Rodriguez. Another thing we were talking about a little bit before show, another guy that we referenced in the preseason long shot defensive rookie of the year is Deshaun Barham from the Dallas Cowboys was this hybrid edge prospect at Michigan. And it was very clear that when the Cowboys drafted him, they said, we're putting him at off-ball linebacker and letting him just kind of run free. We're going to put him on the weak side, blitz him, let him run all over the field. He's flashing in a big way in camp. And you're talking about a triple-digit defensive rookie of the year candidate if you'd like that sort of market. But it got me thinking and trying to talk to you about the NFC in general. I'm trying to think of when we're going to get to the time of the year, and I figure we'll probably do it a little bit with some guests when we're in Vegas. We kind of at this time of year start thinking about we got to make some big picks. Who's winning these conferences? Who's winning these divisions? Who's representing each conference in the Super Bowl? Who's winning the Super Bowl? And the NFC is tricky, Connor. I think we obviously have some clear favorites, some deserved favorites. The overall favorite is the Rams, and I think they deserve to be where they are. But I think we know the fragility in that team and that roster is maybe unlike anyone else. It's such a top-heavy roster. It's maybe less top-heavy than it's been in the past, mostly because of the stability on the defensive side. But like the offensive side is very, very fragile. It is a very high on the range of outcomes if they stay healthy. But that's a tricky prospect given the history of some of the guys that we're talking about. So take it wherever you want. But, picking an NFC winner, I think, is really tricky.
Yeah, I mean, overall too, it's there's one division obviously with the NFC West that makes up whatever 3 of the top NFC teams, but I think all of them have significant downside. And then you have the other team with the Detroit Lions who are going to win a ton of games, but I don't know if they're going to be the best team in the NFC. I think are going to be very much in contention. 8-1 right now to be the top seed in the NFC, I think is a pretty good look, just because their schedule's so easy and they're going to be good. But then you have, the Rams, a lot of injury downside. Niners, the electrical substation just can't stop. You saw it also place Jed York in a prostitution ring in Ohio, apparently. So that's tough scenes for the Niners. And then the Seahawks, I'm a little bit worried about their offense without Kubiak. I mean, I think that he could be a talent maximizer. So I think that matters a little bit too. And then from there, we don't love the Packers. The Bears are extremely volatile. So then you have a team like the Cowboys. I think the Cowboys are interesting. I do actually, to be clear, I do think the Bears are interesting in that range. Like they can firmly beat basically any team. They could also just like lose to almost every team, maybe outside of the bottom 5-ish at this point. And so I think that's maybe a good long shot team. And then the Cowboys, Cowboys and Vikings are probably the range that I'm looking at. What price are you seeing on the Cowboys here to win the NFC? It's like 15, 12, something like that.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the range. I mean, they're interesting. Like they obviously we talked about when we did the Cowboys thing is that I think we both thought they were interesting then, and we didn't like the prices. And part of it is I do think you pay a little bit of a Cowboys tax because books know that they can maybe shade at a point across the board, knowing that they're going to get public money on the Cowboys every year. So it doesn't feel great to us, but I'm just trying to think of teams that have some pieces that it would make you think that they can make an ascension. I think there's some stability on the offensive side. I think that they obviously the ceiling outcomes we saw last year, they were a juggernaut offensively. Defensive side of the ball, they have thrown a ton of resources along the defensive front to not recreate, but try to soften the loss of Micah Parsons. Secondary improvements are better. I think going out and drafting Caleb Downs, we're hearing nothing but great Caleb Downs stuff. He can play that star role, that hybrid slot, safety, put him wherever you want. Some of the cornerback improvements I think are better. I like a guy like Jalen Thompson in the back end, I think is like I think they're improved everywhere. They were using a lot of inexperienced, day 3 picks at linebacker last year. They're better with whatever they end up, going with this year. So, and I like Christian Parker, young 34-year-old defensive coordinator that they brought over from Philly, been part of that Fangio staff. I'm trying to think of ways to leverage this. Like, I think not every book has assistant coach of the year, but I like Christian Parker in the high teens, around 20-ish defensive or assistant coach of the year. I was just thinking that, hey, if the Cowboys ascend, they're a public team. They got a lot of island games. I think it's, hey, what's different this year in Dallas? Yeah, there's a bunch of players that are different this year, but we brought in this like assistant coach that's getting a little bit of like national pub anyway. And a lot of these awards are narrative driven. And like Christian Parker makes a ton of sense if you're looking to speculate in that market. So, and again, that's a better price than Dallas to win the NFC.
Their defense was way better when they got Quinnen last year too.
Mm-hmm.
After they traded for Quinnen, it almost like instantly fixed their run defense problem. They went from like being a bottom 3 run defense to being average, from what I remember. Yep. Average to good. I think it was like 10 to 15 range, something like that, if I remember correctly, EPA and success rate. And so, I mean, that matters a ton. Once you do that, then you can get some other things in place. And from there, as you mentioned, broke down everything else. Like, if they're okay defensively or even decent, maybe get some lucky turnovers, and are positive variance there, then yeah, they're squarely in play to, I think, make a run here in the division, especially with the Eagles. Again, the vibes just feel off again. I don't know. Maybe I don't know. Are you picking up any of that as well? Like, I feel like some of the previous years too, it's just never, the vibes just haven't really felt all that good. And so last year, whatever, they won the Super Bowl 2 years ago. And then last year something seemed off. And it's not quite that level, but it does feel like it's just not fully clicking, at least from an outsider's perspective in the preseason and, joint practices and everything. So, I mean, they posted a picture, the video of them posting of Jalen Hurts getting picked off with Quinyon Mitchell or whatever. I don't know. I guess maybe it's normal, but it just felt weird. I was like, this guy needs more confidence. He's not doing all that well right now. So I thought that was a bit of a strange post, but we'll see. I don't know. A lot of ifs with Philadelphia, I think.
Yeah, I worry about the ceiling with the offense. Knowing that defense can regress and can be, not super sticky. I think the defense is going to be good. But again, like a couple of key guys, I think on both sides, they're expecting a lot from this year with Jonathan Grenard at defensive end, who's dealing with a pec strain. And then on the offensive side, like you want Mekhi Lemon to kind of slide right in and get that rookie reps right away. And when you're missing a ton of time, that just kind of puts you behind the 8 ball to start. So those aren't necessarily great pieces. And then the other thing too is speculative and like some of the random award market. Not everyone offers protector of the year, but I was trying to make the case to you before the show. Like these are, again, such narrative driven awards. Lane Johnson in no way, shape or form is not going to be one of the best offensive tackles in the league. And has made it clear this is his last season. You can get north of 15-1 on Lane Johnson to be protector of the year. I think it's probably a pretty good bet, right? Like it's such a subjective award anyway. How are we measuring it? Like what stats are the writers and voters leveraging here? It becomes, are you good? Do we know that you're good? Were you good again? Is your team okay? And again, in this scenario, you're a Hall of Famer. As soon as the first ballot Hall of Famer, this award wasn't available to you for the majority of your career. We want to get you one before you go. Here you go. And I think that's worth a sprinkle.
I love that look. You said it's at FanDuel?
Yeah, I know FanDuel definitely has it.
It's kind of, yeah. I'm a sucker for a good narrative award. As long as he stays healthy, like that just makes sense. Like you said, Stafford kind of last year to some extent.
I think so. Yeah. Like, right. I mean, how much worse or how much better, tangibly better, measurably better can someone else be? Not much, right? Like,
yeah.
The
only one looking at PFF grades is friggin' like what Mina Kimes and out of the voters like what 5 out of the 50 or whoever, something like that. So.
And either way, Lane Johnson's going to be out there in those two, right? Oh yeah. So again, not widely available, but something that I think is worth speculating on for trying to take some stabs. And I think at least Connor and I believe that those are the kind of bets you should be making at this time of year. Is some speculative. Good, maybe some LCLV, but could be some CLV there as we get closer to season actually starting.
Yeah, he's only like I think 8-1 on Kalshi right now, or 9-1 on Kalshi. Otherwise, I think that'd be a great look there. Obviously, as we talked about, using prediction markets for futures is good as long as the price is similar, because then it gives you the option to cash out or sell, or the CLV could be more than LCLV potentially. But at 9-1 versus 15-1 or 16-1, I think I'd probably rather just take the 16-1 and let it ride.
Yeah. Any other news? Someone else you're going to talk about? I mean, some other injuries that, in terms of how they maybe impact some week 1 props when we get there, but any other big picture stuff you want to share?
Couple of the buzz through real quick. Chargers put Tyler Biadasz on season-ending IR, knee injury. Injury bug just keeps striking them. That's really tough. They really need, their tackles to be healthy, because without, I think Rashawn Slater is still kind of coming back from an injury as well. Without that, again, they're just having cluster injuries. It makes it really tough for Mike McDaniel and Herbert to, I think, fully unlock his potential as like a downfield thrower. And then Browns, back to the Browns, D-end Alex Wright on IR with an Achilles, added Derek
Okay.
Barnett. I mean, I don't know. Do you want to give a quick
Pretty
breakdown
good
of how
last
much it
year,
matters?
actually. Yeah, he was
Barnett,
pretty good, but at the same time, like it's hard to understand the impact of playing opposite
Miles Garrett, right?
Myles Garrett, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, we'll see. I mean, again, like Jared Verse is impactful too, so he's still, I think, going to be a pretty good year. But they, they don't have a ton of depth there. Their line is good when it's healthy, but not a ton of depth there. So hard to say if we can isolate him being a really good player yet. But a loss to the depth for sure.
Okay. And then George Kittle activated off PUP. I think that he probably plays week 1 or week 2. If he doesn't
Sickening.
travel, yeah, it's insane. If he doesn't travel to Australia, I think he's going to play week 2. But I wouldn't be surprised if he plays week 1. I mean, dude's just a freak. So
It's incredible. I mean, again, I'm significantly older than you. Like these used to be like borderline career-ending injuries. Like you wouldn't
Yeah.
necessarily be done with an ACL. You used to be done. Like you were an NBA player and you popped your Achilles in
Yeah,
like
it's over.
the late 80s or early 90s, donezo. Now the fact that these guys can get hurt in like December with like a devastating injury, they used to be like, oh yeah, he might come back, but it's gonna be like a full year. And these guys are like, no, I'm ready for week 1. Crazy. I mean, cool. The advancements of modern medicine are wild, but then you get these sickos that obviously have access on it from a rehab standpoint. Like it's just everything's better, right? The surgery is probably cleaner. They're not digging in. Like they know what they're doing when they get in there. They know how to minimize damage. And then you got this just all the advancements of post-surgical training is just crazy. So then you get these dogs like Kittle just go out and obviously just grinding his ass off to get out there. It's wild.
It's insane. Yeah, I would expect him to probably have like a slowish start and then by midseason just be, fully back. And so it's pretty crazy there. Another one too is interesting. Michael Penix cleared for 11 on 11 work.
Mm-hmm.
Most reports about Tua have not been great in the last 2 weeks. So the offense has been struggling in joint practices. There's been some clips circulating of him looking, well, like Tua, unfortunately. And so it's not been great. I think Michael Penix will take over at some point in the season. The Falcons, I think that we have been of the opinion that Stefanski is an underrated coach. But, I mean, there's a chance. Like, what if he's not? What if he just is a terrible head coach? Has had a terrible record and just hasn't been good. That's also a possibility. And this team is not very good. Like they have a lot of holes on the roster. So I think that this Falcons team is a lot lower downside than I think we originally thought if the quarterback play is really bad.
We were kind of lukewarm on them in terms of
Yeah.
Liking the Saints, thinking that Tampa Bay's still a good football team. I was partially we're also down on Carolina, but I'm with you. I think I need to put a Connor Allen alt parlay together.
Yeah.
On the receiver side, because there's just a couple of guys in that range that are, I think, similar body types that you're looking at the target shares for a Drake London. I was pro Tet, been a big Tet guy the whole time. Like Tet in the slot, like it's also a bad football team. Like these, and then like Nico Collins with all that's gone on in Houston. Like it's really hard for me to not see those three guys have a target share north of 30%. And be probably pretty efficient with some like massive ceiling weeks. So those three are kind of like in that fantasy round 2, round 3 range for those guys. Like I kind of love those guys and think that they could there's just no target competition whatsoever for those players.
Yeah, and I think Tet playing the slot's a massive one too, because we saw Coker last year from time to time in the slot just crush. And I think that like Tet playing more in the slot would be great. And in preseason right now, he's played like 50% of his snaps in the slot. Last year, he only played like 20% in total, maybe 15%, something like that. So that would be a pretty big upgrade, I think, just for his target share, as you mentioned. Yeah, I don't know, maybe a 1250 parlay or a 1,000-yard parlay, something between all of them. It's a fun kind of, I think, parlay between everything. Because, yeah, like you're saying, I mean, it's just very narrow target trees, essentially.
We're talking about like Jahan Dotson and Zachariah Branch in Atlanta. Kyle Pitts. But at wide receiver, that's not great.
No.
Carolina, I don't feel great about. I mean, sure, Darren Waller will be out for 40% of the snaps and get targeted a bunch while he's out there. But I like Coker. I'm not worried about those guys eating. I think the arrow's up on a year 2 receiver like Ted. And then we looked at the Nico prices. Like you have to make it probably a 1250 parlay to make it worth the squeeze on Nico, because Again, no, he's the killer of the parlay too, just because he's the most likely to probably get hurt.
Yeah,
but
unfortunately,
he's also probably the most likely to get 1,500 yards as well.
Yes. They also did add some players. They added Sterling Shepard. They added Zay Jones after the Jaden Higgins injury. I think that this is more of an indictment on Tank Dell, to be honest, than it is on anyone else. And Xavier Hutchinson's basically just like a empty calorie guy who's going to be out there blocking a ton and running routes, but not catching the ball. And I think Jalen Noel is pretty talented. I think that he can, be kind of a good vertical slot and be exciting. I mean, Sterling Shepard, though, that's like pretty direct overlap with being a slot guy there. So if this is a rotation to watch, pay attention to in preseason, pay attention to early in the season, because there could be some good opportunities here with whoever's playing more. Because again, I think Jalen Noel is the most talented, but if he's not playing, it doesn't really matter. So we'll see.
Yeah. He's had an uneven offseason with injuries and stuff too. You could get Justin Watson out there running wind sprints in this lineup. So
Justin Watson, dude, this guy just like never goes away.
Still there. Yeah. Still around, still in the league. So good for him. Cash and checks. Get it while you can get it, buddy. That's all I got. That's a good little news show. We'll get, like Connor said, we'll get a little heavier this weekend when we Thursday, Friday from Circa. We're going to try to get some guests. We'll probably have some people maybe solidify some more season-long picks, Super Bowl picks. We'll get a little bit more futures. Again, as maybe some stuff gets more widely available. Maybe we get Circa to pop some markets that are up already. We can, bend some arms to try to get some of that stuff up there too. So again, check out the show notes here. If you're looking for more information on what Circa offers, you can hit us up to the Million Survivor Rake Free Contest. All really easy if you get over their website and be a part of that this weekend. So and then move the line. Wherever you listen to the podcast, on YouTube as well. Come back again. We're going to continue. I'm not sure what the in-season looks like, but there's going to be a lot of us. That's all I know. So for Connor, I'm Ryan. We'll see you all next time. Thanks, everybody.